You're listening to a Mamamia podcast.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on.
Hello and welcome to Mamamia Out Loud. I always sound like I'm trying to impersonate Holly. It's what women are actually talking about on Wednesday the 10th of April. I'm not Holly, I'm Mia Freedman, but I am still driving the show while Holly is away in the UK because nobody else wants to.
Can confirm. I like being something that adorns the show,
Same.
but doesn't host it.
It's too much responsibility.
Exactly. I completely agree. I'm Jessie Stevens.
I'm Vernem. I'm, the youngest here.
Okay.
Gen Z,
flex.
a bit of a generation difference. I'm on the cusp though, so I'm
How old are
technically
you?
a zillennial, 27. Just a little bit younger.
So you wear
nice.
your socks on the outside
I
of your
wear, yeah. I also have a lot of sex.
Oh, there you go. Hello, M. Vernem.
Thank you for having me.
You were here on Monday,
Yes.
filling in for Holly for a week. Any feedback? Did anyone hear you on the show?
I had one person hear me on the show. Out of a lot of people. I got a message on my Hinge, my dating app, and the guy said, my roommate listened to you on Out Loud and she loved it. And I was like, I only
goodness.
accept pickup lines like that now.
Can you join the dots for me? Because how does this guy's roommate know that you're on his Hinge?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. So I think before he's matched with me, he was probably like showing her like his app. And I probably
she
came
went,
up on it. And
Oh,
she's
that
like,
was Em. She was on Out
yeah.
Loud the other day. Mia, I reckon we should get back on the apps.
You have to go and date him.
Yes, well, to be continued.
We should definitely get on the apps, Jessie. That's a great idea. On the show today, it's the missing husband case that's gone viral. So why are women everywhere so determined to hunt down this one dude? Plus, there's a single question to ask yourself that will tell you a lot about the quality of your friendships. And I'm going to be honest, it sent us into a bit of a spiral. Plus, the court case over a ladies' lounge in a Tasmanian art museum that is making some people very uncomfortable. But first,
In case you missed it, Australia is the second most promiscuous country. So according to the World Population Review, the average Australian has a body count of 13.3 people. Jessie, is this a big number?
was 0.3 just a handy? Sorry. This is why I'm not usually allowed to drive the bus.
That's a really good point, Mia. It's a really good point.
I'm sorry.
0.3.
Maybe
Maybe
it's
it's a squeeze of the breast.
Maybe it's just like a little kiss on the cheek.
Maybe it is. I'm not too surprised by this. I think 13 is quite tame. Quite a lifetime.
Yeah.
It's a lot
that's
of life.
Do you
a lot
think
of
it's
life in there.
Mia?
Oh, she gets judgy. She likes pants. She doesn't like
No,
promiscuity.
the opposite. Because, of course, the first thing you do is think about your own body count. It's quite interesting that it's called a body count now. Anyway, like I obviously chalked up quite a decent
tally.
number, double figures. You know when you used to make lists?
Yeah.
It's been a really long time. Because if you're in a long-term relationship, it's like there's a lot and then there's not a lot for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So it all seems kind of quaint to me now. But the idea that we're a pack of sluts in Australia, number 2, most promiscuous in the world, or sexually active, nothing wrong with that. That surprises me. Is like number 1 one of those like Sweden or Brazil?
Norway.
It's actually
Yeah.
Turkey. So the average
wouldn't have thought
Turk,
that.
they only have sex with a bit over 14 people though.
That's not even
So
beating
come
us
on,
by that
guys,
much.
we can do it better.
Honestly, Em, you just need a big year.
I'm
and I
surprised
reckon
I
you can
haven't
get us-
single-handedly pulled up our country's average, honestly.
Well, I interviewed Australia's most sexually active woman.
She's helped.
Self-declared.
Yeah.
And she has definitely helped push up the average because she slept with 300 people last year and she's trying for 365 this year. So when I interviewed her on No Filter, there were obviously a lot of questions about the logistics of that. I'm not sure if it's just a sort of a brand because it's kind of like her thing on OnlyFans.
Yeah,
and
who's going to check?
the Daily Mail love it. So it's got her a lot of attention, a lot of new subscribers on OnlyFans. But I asked her about the logistics because one every day I was like, so what if you've got your period or if you've got a migraine or if it's just like raining?
You got a yeast infection.
Yeah, because there's no repeats on that. It's got to be
Oh my goodness.
365 different people. And she said, I do have days off. So there might be like I might do a couple in a day. And I'm just like, there's a lot of logistics.
Yeah, it's
I
just a
think
lot of
that's
time.
cheating though, because I think you're aiming for a number. I think the people calculated for this should only be people who are surprised about their number.
Yeah, who aren't intentionally
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
accrue. I was looking at who was at the bottom of this list. That interested me. China, low.
Because
Vietnam,
the one-child policy.
Well, you're allowed to have sexy time, right?
Yeah, true.
And they don't have that policy anymore. But I
That's
like
true.
that you're trying to reason.
I don't know.
You should be a researcher, honestly.
Yet another reason why I'm way above my pay grade. Below my pay grade?
Below the belt.
This job is way above my pay grade. I'm just really out of my depth.
It has been roughly 16 hours since Ashley McGuire posted on Facebook asking the whole wide world to help locate her missing husband, Charles Withers. He's a chef, father of her 2 children. He just basically ghosted his whole family. Just boop, upped and disappeared.
A woman named Ashley McGuire has lost her husband. And I mean that quite literally. He doesn't know where he is.
When I first saw this, I thought it was a tragic story.
It's not.
And I was like, oh no, that's awful.
No.
Why is everyone...
He's hiding.
Yeah.
He's hiding from her. So she has physically lost him and would like to know his whereabouts. She's on a mission to find him. Long game of hide and seek. It began when Ashley posted it in the Facebook group, "Are we dating the same guy?" That's what the Facebook group's called. And
Great headline.
Great headline, honestly. You should jump in that too, Em. She wrote, "This is my husband, Charles Withers. He loves to be the centre of attention, but I'm not sure how much he's going to like this. Last year, when I was pregnant with our youngest baby, he decided being a husband and a dad wasn't the lifestyle he wanted anymore, and he ghosted, like gone without a trace."
I'm just so stuck on this detail. Like on that morning, did he just like go hi to his baby and hi to his wife, and then, I mean, obviously it wasn't a spur of the moment decision, you would assume.
Well, yeah, you
and
need a
then
credit card
just
or
went
something.
literally without a trace.
Yes, and apparently like ghosted his employer, like everything. He just disappeared. So she hasn't seen or heard from him in more than a year, and he has one baby that he hasn't seen in that time and one he's never met. She said he's moved somewhere out of state and changed his phone number. He's British and charming as fuck. He's a chef and probably working in the hospitality industry somewhere. He's probably never mentioned having a wife or kids back in Massachusetts. And she continues on saying, "Divorcing someone who's completely unreachable is really tough and drawn out. So I'm trying to track him down to get his signatures on a few papers so I can finally close this chapter and move on with my life."
Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought about
No.
the logistics of this.
It's like, ghost me, yeah, but I need to
Sign-
divorce you,
yeah.
so can I at least have your signature? And the call out was basically, if you know him, if you've heard of him, if you're dating him, can you just tell him to call? Because I've got some logistics, just some...
I don't even want to shout at him. I just want him to sign some things so I can get on with my life.
Exactly. Probably also like pick up some of your stuff. Like she's got enough going on. Can you at least pick up your stuff?
Say hi to your kid. Just
Yeah,
hi. Just hi.
exactly.
That is actually truly, we're joking about it. I know there's people that abandon their families, but man, that's got to hurt on so many levels.
And we'll get to this, but like my anger at this man, the cowardice of
Yeah.
walking out on your family like that, the insane level of cruelty.
A pregnant partner with a toddler.
Yep, and women can't do that. And I hear these stories not infrequently of men that just abandon their families and women get on with it. And this is the thing. The wrath of those single mothers, they were like, yeah, I don't have a lot of time,
yeah.
but I have some energy.
But even not single mothers, like even like all of us.
This is like a hobby for me.
Yeah.
I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. The sleuths were like, we've got you. They found him on dating sites. They were like, oh, I just matched with him the other day. Someone sent a video of him doing karaoke. Turns out it wasn't him. So sorry to that guy.
Sorry
who
to
was
that
just
man.
singing a song.
He does look very average, as in like he looks like every other man. So all men beware.
Quite handsome, white, bit of facial hair.
Yeah. I mean,
Have you dated that man?
do you recognise him? What do you think of the ethics of even these groups, right? Because
Yeah.
there are groups like this all over the place where it's about if you've dated someone or can you find someone. What do you think? Is it a bit dangerous?
When I first saw this post, I was getting a little bit upset because I think this post gives a lot of single women a really bad rap. I thought originally she was doing this post because she just wanted everyone to know what a shitty person he was, and she just wanted people to come at him,
Why
basically.
does it give single women a bad rap?
Because I think when you are single, a lot of people are still, even this day, quite ashamed of it. Like a lot of people never confess that they're dating, they're on the apps, they're dating multiple people. So what the world sees from single women are these kind of angry posts of it never working out. And it's because people enjoy that kind of content from single women, especially women in relationships. So like we want to hear the shitty stories because that's what we thrive off of.
And you thought, oh, she's just being vindictive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then at the end when she's like, really, I just want to divorce him. Like, all I want him to do is just sign some papers. I want to be like, hey, I get this. There's an indication this isn't going to work out. Can we please just separate and I can move on with my life? And I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Because whenever I see those posts, no matter if the woman is angry or she wants something out of it, there will be 100 women in those comments making it their life's mission to find that guy.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It's if you're ever in a nightclub or a restaurant and then you're in the bathroom.
Yes.
And you're like, has anyone got a tampon? And a woman might go, no, but it becomes her mission and the mission of everybody, every other woman, to find you a tampon.
Yeah, and then you end up with 10 and you're like,
Sisters
great.
unite.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I am in this Facebook group called, you might have heard of it, it's called Sis, Is This Your Man? It's like based in Sydney. It started off as a group where women who were dating would put kind of screenshots of dating profiles of the men they've been on dates with and had a horrible experience. Usually they were in an unsafe environment or something, just to warn other women. And now it's kind of become a thing of a precautionary thing they're trying to do, where before you go on a date, some women will put a photo of this guy saying, hey, I'm about to go on this date with this guy. Does anyone know anything?
So is it about whether the guy's seeing someone else at the same time? Because I've heard a lot of stories about that too, where you're dating a guy and then his wife calls you up or his girlfriend calls you up and goes, hey, sis, that's my man. But is this more just almost like looking for character references?
Looking for character references. I think that's where the water gets a bit murky, because what a lot of people forget with online dating is that there's no hard rules. You're allowed to date multiple people at the same time. And I think that's where these posts originally kind of annoy me, because someone could be trashing someone online and they probably just had a mixed signal saying, oh, I thought we were just dating multiple people. Like, we never confirmed we were exclusive.
But it's not really mixed signals when
no, not with her. No, he
you're
has no
pregnant
excuse. He
and
has
you've
no
got
excuse.
a baby and your husband just disappears.
And that's the thing, is that she followed up and said, to be clear, I'm not wishing him any ill will. The people, whether it's death threats or finding his employer, please don't. That's not what I wanted to do. I just care about my kids. And she said she's got enough leads to last her a lifetime. She said, at the end of the day, I get to come home to my babies and be their mother, so I think I win regardless.
Oh, she's had good therapy.
And then she has.
She doesn't sound angry.
And then just before we recorded this, I went and just did an update. He's texted. So he had texted on an old number that she had contacted, and he'd just been purposely
blocked
ignoring
her.
her.
Oh, so he still had that number
He
and
still
was
had
getting
that
all
number.
the texts.
Yeah. And then the only reason, when you read between the lines, that he ever reached out was because he feared for his own safety and was like, can you please delete the post? Not like child support, not like papers.
Did you have a boy or a girl?
Yeah. What did you call our baby? None of that. Just worried for his own safety. So when I saw that, I went, oh God, you you deserve all of it. Because even those groups, I mean, there's a world in which my image is shared in one of those groups and it's like, oh, this person ghosted me, or this person, I didn't have a great experience. That's the nature of dating, and that feels like an invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
There's something more subversive when women are doing it just because of women's general experiences about danger or about discovering there's a wife. But Mia, how do you tell the internet to stop?
And also, what do we want to happen to this guy? So like when we hunt him down, which we're all true crime podcasters at heart. I won't say it's a victimless crime, but it's not an actual crime. It seems to a lot of people like harmless fun. And also I think he's probably become an avatar for every cheating bastard, every guy that's ever ghosted a woman. He's become the receptacle of a lot of rage. I really feel like his energy would be fairly not good. The energy that he would be receiving from the universe. So the question is, when we find him, and I guess this comes back to cancel culture, the internet will allow us to find him. What happens then? Like, what do we want him to do? Do we want him to go back to her? Do we want him to make a public apology on the internet? I think probably.
I would say public apology
to all of us.
I'm offended.
Yeah.
Never been married in my life.
You know, like, I don't know, what would you want, Jessie, from him when we find him?
Look, the fact that he has texted her now, and it appears that she at least, has some way of contacting him, I think she's got what she wanted. And so at that point, the internet has to sort of back off. And I think that she's deleted the original stuff, and I don't hold any ill will towards her because she had literally tried every other avenue. It's like, this wasn't her first option. She was just like, no, I really need to find this person and the internet's going to help me.
But surely no one's criticising her except for him.
No, but I do think that what happens with the internet is that once you open the gates.
Yeah, she has the weight of responsibility.
Yes. So now if he goes and opens a business, I mean, this is going to be the first thing that comes up when you Google him until the day he dies.
He's going to have to go into witness protection
He's
if
going
he's
to have
not
to change
already
his
there.
name. Yeah.
Do you have anyone who would feed your cat? On Brené Brown's podcast, Unlocking Us, she spoke with therapist and author Esther Perel about mental health and social media and the impact it has on them. And there was one quote from the conversation that stuck with me when Esther spoke about artificial intimacy. She kind of referred to it as the new AI. Here's what they said.
I think I call it counterfeit connection in my work. And I think one of the things that's really hard about counterfeit connection is the loneliness it creates. We are the most hyper-connected group of people in human history and the loneliest.
Yes, but I would switch the order of the words. Modern loneliness masks as hyperconnectivity.
Ooh.
You know,
Say that again.
Modern loneliness masks as hyperconnectivity. I can have 1,000 virtual friends, but nobody to feed my cat. Nobody to ask to go and pick up a prescription at the pharmacy, but 1,000 people who are giving me likes and dislikes and all kinds of things that are now becoming the foundation of my self-esteem. That's a different kind of loneliness. It's not about being physically alone. It's about being misunderstood, unseen, rejected, ostracized, all of that.
So Mia, you have over 250,000 Instagram followers. How many of them would feed your pets?
Look, I hope none of them, because my pets are unmanageable and would probably bite them. So if they do follow me, they would run a bloody mile from that. And funnily enough, literally today, I had to pay an inordinate amount of money to send my 2 dogs away because I'm going on holidays and there is no one who can move in and look after them among all my followers. But I always find this question really interesting. I don't know if it's just me, because I never like to ask my friends to do anything, but I love it when my friends ask me to do something because for me it is such a symbol of intimacy. It's such a marker of we're close enough that you can ask me to do that thing. Unless it's something like move house. It astonishes me that people will ask their friends to help them do things like move house.
But that's friendship, and I think that's their point, right? There's a great quote later on, I think it's Brené Brown, who says, in-person relationships are a pain in the ass. And the thing about social interactions online is that they are so boundaried. If something offends or humiliates or goes further than we want it to, we can put up walls and we can decide what we do and don't let in.
Like all those people who say, oh, what do I do? My friend texted me about her bad day and I just texted back. I
don't have emotional
capacity for this. My bandwidth is full.
Yes. So the nature of in-person relationships is that they're going to say the wrong thing and there's boredom and irritation involved in all of them. There are no close inconvenience. Maybe they'll drop in. Like we've killed the drop in because we're just like, oh, how dare you even come near me without my express consent before. But they're the things that actually breed intimacy. Like having people around you that you feel you can trust means that you can ask them to do something that isn't reciprocal. So that's what the example of the cat is that it's an act of service which isn't a transaction. We're so used to everything being transactional, right? And so if I say to you, can you feed my cat while I'm away for a week, there is literally nothing in that for you. I would almost feel like saying, should I pay you? I'll leave a gift.
But aren't you scared that the person will say no? I think that's why I don't do it, because I'm so insecure. I wouldn't want to put the person in the position and I wouldn't want to put myself in the position of them saying no.
But I also think you and you as well, Jessie, don't need to do it because you're both in relationships. I think what this is also talking about is, do you have a person that's your person who can do all of these things when you can't?
Because it might be pick you up after you've had due wisdom teeth out.
Exactly. If you're with a partner,
take you to your abortion.
You can't physically text your partner and be like, I don't have the emotional capacity to deal with your emotions today.
Oh, I do that.
I mean, you probably could. But it's kind of given when you have a partner that you have someone to fall back on without even asking to do all these things.
Like an emergency contact.
Exactly. Whereas if you're single or you live alone or you probably are estranged from your family, you have to rely on having in-person connections with your friends and investing in those friendships and building them up, because if there's an emergency, you need someone to drive you to the hospital, you need someone to look after your dog, you literally have no one else.
Do you have any friends like that? Because I know you're close to your family, and my first thing with this was I have family I could ask. They're my network that I can go, my mum would do anything for me. But friendship feels like something I almost have to water more as like a garden, and maybe I haven't enough. Do you have friends?
So I always had my family doing stuff like that for me. And then I think I had like a bit of an epiphany when I was like, I won't always have my family. My parents are obviously older than me. Like there'll be a time where they just won't be there.
And yet younger than me.
So I definitely need to invest in my friendships. But yes, I have 3 friends that I could ask any of these questions to, and I know they'd be there. But I wouldn't have them if I didn't invest in that friendship every single day.
Do you sometimes ask them to do those things, and do they sometimes ask you?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always yes. Or like if there's a big reason, like where someone's away or something like that. That's why you can't just have one.
See, I think that's the ultimate. Like, I love doing things for other people. Like, I love doing things for you, Jessie, but you never ask me to do anything for you.
No.
Never. Whereas your husband asks me to do things constantly. Because you can ask your parents to do stuff, like, because it's just a given. But with friends, which is, you know, you and I, do I ask you to do anything for me?
No. Yeah, it's like we don't want to be an imposition on each other. And I listened to this podcast, I can't remember if I've talked about it, about friendship and intimacy, and saying that central to that is seeing people in a variety of different states and a variety of different moods. And so the reason that our connections during adolescence are so close is because we hang. We just hang out.
It's situational.
Yeah, and it's like you sit there and you watch, or you go to the shop and you just spend days together.
Yeah.
And you see those fluctuations in people, and I know, you know, that you're a variety of things. Whereas as adults, if I go out with my friends and it's normally very set for a few hours, and then I come home and I'll go, was I good enough value? Did I ask enough questions?
Really?
Did I? Yeah, it's like
You give yourself a performance review.
a performance review. And friendship and intimacy isn't about performance. And I do think that social media has something to answer for, because it's about opportunity cost, which is what they're saying as well. Every minute we're spending on social media fostering connections with all these people means that we're not fostering the deeper connections with few. So it's like we're looking at quantity over quality, I suppose.
I feel that about group chats as well.
Yeah.
Where I'm like constantly feeding on my group chats, but I rarely see any of my friends in person. And like, we all know everything about each other's lives, but we never ask each other favors.
Yeah.
It's always, how can I add value to your life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually, I did ask a friend a favor, which you'll see if you're coming to the
Oh,
Mamamia Out Loud
yeah.
live show. I asked a friend a favor, and
Did you feel anxious about it?
I kind of did.
Because it was a significant favour. Like it was time.
A
She's
significant
busy.
favour.
Yeah.
She's busy. She gets asked by a lot of people. Like, everyone wants a piece of her. And I asked a favour, and just straight away she was like, yep, of course.
Yeah.
And that is a really bonding, connecting thing. Would you ever ask someone to like help you move?
Yeah.
I also think I'm just really independent. I'm like, never want to impose on anyone. I prefer to just do stuff for myself.
I also think it's dependent on the person's you're asking lifestyle. Like I've been asked to do a lot of these things with people who I'm probably not even that close with, I think because of just my lifestyle. Because I live in the city, I'm super central, I live alone, they know I don't have any other responsibilities. So I actually get asked to do quite a lot of things.
You're feeding 17 cats at the moment.
I've got a whole litter.
Do you think, Em, it's got something to do with your love language and acts of service? Because you know how there are some people who like love to be proved to them and like to show love by doing acts of service, like, you know, someone who'll fill up their partner's car with petrol so they don't have to, or
but
bring them a coffee.
I
or-
also think we're overcomplicating it. I think we're lazy, and I think we're trying to make excuses. And I think that
I'm just fear of rejection. I'm not, maybe I'm also lazy.
I'd feed your cats.
You would?
See, you genuinely don't want to help someone move.
No.
Like that's,
No, God, no. Like, I love you, but no.
But there's like so many aspects to moving. You could be the person who brings the lunch.
But I'm also a bit like, get your shit together.
This is the problem with the modern world.
Outlouders, who would feed your cat? It's, of course, not about the actual cat, but do you have someone that would feed your cat? Tell us in the group or tell us on Instagram. Picking you up from the airport is another example
Oh,
of that.
yes.
I don't like driving.
Want unlimited Out Loud access? We drop episodes every Tuesday and Thursday exclusively for Mamamia subscribers. Follow the link in the show notes to get us in your ears 5 days a week. And a huge thank you to all our current subscribers.
Tasmanian Tribunal has ruled that Mona, the Museum of Old and New Art, have you been to Mona? It's amazing. It's in
I
Hobart.
really want to.
It's beautiful. They've said that Mona has discriminated against a New South Wales man called Jason Lau by denying him entry to an art installation within the museum called the Ladies' Lounge. Now, the Ladies' Lounge opened at Mona in 2020. It is enclosed with green silk curtains and only women identifying as ladies can go in. And there are male butlers in there and they're treated to champagne when they walk in, and there are special artworks that are only visible to the women inside the Ladies' Lounge. Now, the exhibit was created by Mona curator Kisha Kashala, and she said the reason that she created it, because it's actually an art installation, and Mona's like that. It's not just about going and looking at paintings or sculptures. It's actually things that you can be part of. There used to be a big room that made poo.
Oh, wow. I've heard about the vagina wall.
Oh, yeah, there's a
Vulva
vagina wall, the
Vulva
vulva wall.
Sounds
the
like
great
the
wall of
Mamamia office.
It's so true. Where there's like plaster casts of all these different shapes of vulvas, and you go and look at all the different ones. That's amazing. And then the poo room is this machine that you put food in and it mimics the human digestive system, and it poos out the end. And when I went, it smells bad.
See, that's the man's room.
Well, there's a person, there's, people all around. They're like people that work at the museum so that you don't get out of control. And they're sitting there, and I said to them, thinking I was so original, well, you got the short straw with your shift today. And he goes, yeah, everybody says that to me, but I don't actually hate it. It's actually quite interesting. I'm like, okay. Anyway, so the point is that the Ladies' Lounge was actually an experience that was designed to make a statement. The curator said that it was a response to historically disadvantaged experiences by women in respect to entering spaces reserved for men. So she's like, since the dawn of time, there have been men's spaces that excluded women, and I wanted to make a space that excluded men. And she said when this person first claimed that for the price of entry, he was not able to use all the facilities and appreciate all the exhibitions within Mona as a woman could, and he said it went against the anti-discrimination law. She said by being excluded, that was the experience for him.
Yeah. That was the art.
Hope you enjoyed your stay.
It was interesting, right? And so he said he was discriminated against because of his gender, and it was found in his favour. So now they've got 30 days to allow anyone in, which defeats the purpose of the Ladies' Lounge, and I think it's going to close. What do you think? Women's only spaces, slippery slope, good news, bad news?
I think a bit of a slippery slope. I don't completely agree that he should have sued the museum for that, but I do kind of see his point because I don't wholeheartedly agree with the exhibition as a whole. When I was in my early 20s, I had a bit of a bad experience, and the women's rooms that were offered in my university was the only space I really felt safe in for a really long time of like that period of my life.
Can you explain what I didn't go to university for very long. Jessie did. She'll tell you all about it at any given opportunity. What were these rooms in the university?
So it was just like these little rooms that only allowed women or people who identified as non-binary to come in. It was like a safe space. So
What was the point of it?
It was a point to just make women feel safe. So they had pamphlets. It was usually for women who've had a bad experience.
Okay.
And they would
a bad experience with men.
With men.
Mm-hmm.
And they would sometimes have counselors in there. So you're still studying and stuff, but you're only studying knowing you're only surrounded by women.
Mm-hmm.
And literally that space made me feel so much better about being in university in general. And when I learnt about the exhibition, I only learnt it after he started suing, because that I think everyone did. It made me feel like it was making a mockery out of those spaces that are actually safe for women.
You mean the idea of the Ladies' Lounge was making a mockery of it?
Because it is an art exhibition. It's not a space that is ruled to be safe for women. It's a gimmicky thing where you see it in when you're in the museum and you're like to your dad or your boyfriend, haha, bye, see you later.
But isn't the point of it, I don't think it is gimmicky. The purpose of it is very different to the women's rooms that had a clear purpose of women who felt vulnerable because of men. And we know that it's not an equal playing field when it comes to the acts of violence perpetrated on women are overwhelmingly by men. So I understand the purpose of that. But the purpose of this was different. It wasn't about women's safety. It was about discrimination, wasn't it, Jessie?
And it was about placing it in historical context. So in Australia, it wasn't till 1965 that a woman could have a drink in a public bar because that was men's spaces. And I think it's also an analysis and a comment on art and where men have been historically allowed and women haven't. So this is kind of like a patriarchy-free, it's almost like if the world was turned on its head, because I think some of the bartenders and people serving drinks and stuff are all men. So to that I go, oh, this makes total sense. I completely understand what they're saying. And this Jason Lau said that the promotion of the event he felt was vague and lacking context. And I'm like, I think you just don't get it. Which yeah, maybe you don't because you haven't been excluded from places. I am really surprised by this finding and I think it's an enormous shame.
What about men's clubs and stuff? Are they legal?
Yeah, they're still legal. In the Australian club, which is in Victoria, I believe, the way it works is you can't be a member if you're not a man. Most events women are allowed to attend, but you can't be a member. And so there are definitely, I think, last I read about 30 clubs around the country that might be man or woman only. So it's definitely allowed to operate like that. I actually saw the reverse happen recently at my dad's golf club. He's been a member there forever. And one of the women said, hang on, I pay the same fees as this guy, but this guy has days where it's men only can play golf. Let's say it's a Saturday or something, and women's was a Wednesday. And it's like, I might work on a Wednesday. So anyway, she sued them and she won. So this stuff is happening and this idea of only spaces, and I think it's something worth considering that if we want women to have women-only spaces, then is it permissible for men to have men's-only spaces? And what's
But the reasons for them historically are very different because the reason, as you said, Em, for women's only spaces are usually in response to male violence, let's just be honest, and women wanting to feel safe. Whereas men's only spaces, what are they about? Not wanting to have the nags around, wanting to have a degree of privilege.
Well, that's what's funny is the Australian Club, when they voted only in 2021 to see if they could have female members, they said we'd have to change the decor, we'd have to speak differently, we'd have to change the taps.
We'd need new toilets.
Just like a bunch of really weird shit. So there's
they
resistance
use those as
there.
reasons for not.
Yes, and that's the Australian Club. Men's sheds.
Did they win?
Valid? No, they voted against women overwhelmingly.
Well, of course.
But it's also like what woman would want to be in that environment?
Exactly.
The problem with that, but the problem with that is that the men who belong to those institutions historically, that's where deals are done. Like when we saw this week with the Bruce Lehrmann case, there was a great column in Women's Agenda this week about how the producer who was talking about all the things he did with Bruce Lehrmann to allegedly get the interview, sex workers, cocaine, golf, stakes, he spoke about how he used that to build rapport. And this column pointed out that that's not something that's really available to women. I just feel that this idea of, women want women's only spaces, therefore men should be able to have them too. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to have them, but they're for very different reasons. One is to entrench privilege and discrimination, and the other is about physical safety.
Yes, I will say that men's sheds are an exception. I think they're a really important men's only space.
That's so true.
And queer spaces. So this is something that exists, and I think in every minority or group who feels oppressed, that's really important that they have a place where they don't feel like they're going to be hurt or hounded.
That's true. And then what do we say in terms of, are only Christian people allowed to go into a church? Are only Muslim people allowed to go into a mosque? Maybe that's not the same.
I see it as well, like think about Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever. It's like that's for a particular lived experience. What we're seeing is this rub between anti-discrimination, which is good, and actually the whole reason that law exists is for women. We're seeing anti-discrimination come up against equality, and weirdly they rub. Because it's like, if we're all going to be equal, then we should all be allowed everywhere all of the time. But that is to presume that everyone has equal power already. So there's the same thing that might happen with a women's gym or a woman's pool or something like that.
Yeah.
So what is it? Is it just now that there are not spaces where it's just women and men? What do you reckon, Em?
It's just really frustrating because we do have men-only spaces. They just don't have rules that don't include women because women don't actually want to be in that space. So they probably do include women, but no one's actually physically going there because they're like, ew, why would I go there?
Yeah.
So
I don't feel safe.
So I think if we're talking about equality, then equality means that we do need the rules out of women's spaces because we don't want men in those spaces because that's what the evenness of it is, if that makes sense. Do you trust your gut? Yesterday, we unpacked the science behind intuition and when to not trust our gut or when to trust our gut.
This is one of my favourite episodes we've done.
so
and we all
juicy.
share stories of when our intuition or our gut has told us something really clearly and we've followed it.
And also when our gut got it really wrong.
Yeah. So
I've got a few of those.
Go into the Out Louders too. People are sharing great stories about intuition. They are fascinating.
There's a link in the show notes to listen to that episode right now.
And Out Louders, if you haven't got your tickets yet for our live show, Mamamia Out Loud Live, presented by Nivea Cellular. What are you doing? Some of the shows are getting very close to selling out. Brisbane is a second from selling out. So grab your tickets while you can. Follow the link in our show notes if you want to know who Mia's friend is, who she asked the favour of.
I want to know.
Yeah, well.
And how big a favour it was.
Yeah, big, significant.
Thank you for listening to Australia's #1 news and pop culture show. This episode was produced by Emeline Gazilas. The assistant producer is Tahli Blackman with audio production by Thom. We'll be back in your ears tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.